6:30, so we'll call to order the Public Works and Utilities Committee meeting. Attendance has already been taken. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, it brings us to number 4, comments from citizens. Seeing none, we will move on. The Public Works, the street activity reports in the packet. Phil, anything you would want to point out?
I would say our biggie this month was, we spent quite a bit of time out there getting the brush pit all burned and leveled and cleaned up. And spent quite a bit of time hauling some of that debris pile there we got out there from all the road construction cuts and stuff out to farmers, to get rid of some of that. Did a little drainage work, but I'd say our biggie was just getting the brush pit straightened up for the winter. Be good to go for the summer now.
Nice. Okay. Any questions for Phil? Anything else in street sanitation, stormwater, or other?
No?
Okay. Move on to number 6, Aaron. Anything you want to point out?
Glenn got high service pump number 2 fixed out of the water plant, and we're in the process of fixing the other one now. They both, as soon as we pulled out the first one, the second one started leaking. Did quite a bit of work out at the golf course this month. Got new water and sewer installed out there. That's about it. Worked on just some maintenance around town and stuff on some of the sewers and jetted some of them cambered them. And then worked on the electric building some more.
Okay.
What our cost ended up being on that well one that you worked on, you know?
The first high service pump was,
25, wasn't it?
I think so,
20.
It's in your accounts over
25 something. Which there's also another 1,900 on top of that because the windings in the motor, the motor were aluminum, and with VFDs they have to be copper. So they had to go back and rewind the motor. The second one is going to be a little more expensive because when they pulled it out, the actual pump itself is shot on it, so they have to buy a new pump on it. And then after that one gets put back in, we're gonna pull the backwash pump, so that all 3 of those pumps are new in that building.
Maintained, something like that.
So when you say a little more, are we talking
30,
10%?
32,
32?
yeah, 32,000 for that one.
About $5,000 more.
Yeah.
Any other questions for water and sewer? Okay, we'll move on to electric. Matt, anything you want to point out?
Let's see, this last month, like Aaron said, we worked on the electric barn, got it all enclosed. Basically got all the insulation and OSB up inside. Guys in the water department did a heck of a job doing it. Other than that, dug in some underground at the golf course, got that finished up, got them switched over from overhead to underground power, wrecked out everything. Really cleaned it up out there. Also, we got North Point to a position to where they can have their current builds actually energized and up and going. We were waiting on materials for that. Got that up. Pole set, some wires strung in, and got them up and going. So, other than that, as far as work-wise goes, that's about it. I attended a MPUA line worker advisory mutual aid committee meeting last week, 2 weeks ago maybe, and they're really on the board right now. There's a lot of discussion on small cell antennas going up in smaller communities to pick up the better internet. So what they're doing, they passed legislation to allow actually those communications to be able to be on top of our pole within our airspace and allow not only them to run their own electric up in our electric, you'd call it almost, I would call it almost an easement up there, an overhead, but to also be 6 inches away from our primary lines. So, for me, that's a huge, I guess, a huge concern of mine. It's not only gonna be, a way for our power to be unreliable, I wouldn't say unreliable, but to have like squirrels or branches or whatever be able to make contact with something that's a different potential, to knock power out, or B, if we've got to go up and work on a pole, it's even more unsafe to have something that's grounded 6 inches away from our primary. So we're in, I guess we got information that we need to send to Sydney to be able to write up an ordinance to combat that, not necessarily tell them that they can't get on our poles, but to almost put something in writing and say, hey, we'll put something 50 feet away, to where it can have its own solid pole by itself. We'll provide power over to it, but that's your baby. So, a lot of things they were talking about in there is the radiation off of the radio frequencies as well. Once you get up to a certain point of it, and if we cut power to it for safety for our reasons to get out of radiation distance, they say they can actually come back and sue the city due to not providing service for them and their customers. So, I don't know, something that we need to work out and write up some sort of,
We do want to get ahead of this as quickly as possible because they could come in tomorrow and start putting this stuff in. So, the problem comes if we can't cut power to it, we're gonna have to buy special equipment for the guys when they climb up the poles because the frequency radiation he's talking about is only has to be deemed as safe from 8 feet from the ground. So when they climb the poles to work on the electricity up there, they're gonna be exposed.
they're saying you gotta have a qualified individual to be within radiation distance. That has to be either in a radiation suit or holding, I guess, attached one of those radiation meters. And then once their allotted time is up, they've gotta get out of the bucket and be done. So, which poles normally take, depending upon what they are, I would say an hour or 2 hours to do at a minimum. So,
So we'll hopefully have a resolution by Monday.
I don't know, I wanna say it's like
Good.
20
Yeah, we'll need to do something, because that's something, I mean,
guys.
but on my other hat that I wear regularly, there's a lot of that telecom type stuff coming, that's gonna be expanding significantly, so, we definitely wanna get ahead of it. I mean, we don't wanna inhibit it in any way, but we need
Yeah.
to make sure we can do it safely,
Well,
work with
Yeah,
it.
and I was talking to some other utilities that actually have it, and Macon, they actually have 15 of them. And they said the individuals that they talked to, and when we were speaking, we were talking about it, and they were saying that dealing with the actual contractors that are putting these up are really easy to work with. And I'm like, I just told them, I'm like, well, why don't you just set a pole off to the side? And he goes, that's exactly what we did. He goes, we put it within our easement, but we offset it by like 15 to get it off of our primary poles. And this is like a streetlight pole or something like that. They would put up on the side, allow them to go ahead and go up, so.
right.
But they said not only do you have to set up an ordinance, but you also needed to go for, I think it was an appearance outline as well on the city website, because I guess the boxes that actually attach to these antennas they're like 21 cubic feet, so basically the size of a refrigerator. So,
Well, I think that, the key thing, I think, in that whole deal is the fact that cost of the poles, if we pass resolution, could be put back into the ARPA money, whatever they're gonna drive this with. That can be on them versus our dime.
yeah, and they're saying how
And
they
the
did it
safety
is
plan.
they actually charge the contractor. We'll set your pole, then you can get on it. So not only did they pay for time and materials,
Sounds good, yeah.
so,
And if the pole goes bad, they pay for a new pole?
yeah. Now, it would probably come out of our stock and then just kind of a bill kind of deal, but bill the service provider.
That's a small price or hassle to deal with, for safety of the crew.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything else, sir?
I don't believe so.
Matt's not here, is there anything you wanna point out from his list?
I know that he's been having weekly, Zoom meetings with Bartlett and West about, the ongoing projects and keeping up with the status updates on those. He's been out at the pump houses a lot. We're getting that equipment in. He actually took me out there Friday to a couple of the pump houses and was showing me around at the different things that they're doing, and they're really making good progress as far as that's concerned. I believe Schmidt Irrigation, as long as we can get a little bit of dry weather in, they should be done within 2 weeks of whenever they can get back out there and get going again in the field. And then that will be done. We're working on, some of the stuff with Fisher. I've got a meeting Wednesday with Bartlett and West in Sydney to see where we're gonna move forward on that. But really we've been busy with a lot of things. I know that we're waiting to hear from DNR. We had to get one more bid in, for the Slaker. Before that could go through, we had to have a minimum of 3 bids. For that to go through, so we're waiting to hear back from them on that, and then hopefully we can get that, that process going.
How full are the basin?
How full are the basins?
Northwest is, our northwest system
I'm
is
talking
pretty
about the
well.
new ones.
But we haven't put any more water in them. We've got northeast pump houses shut down right now. They've got it back together and we tested them the other day, but the low water pressure sensor they ordered it and it should be here this Thursday or Friday, I think. They're gonna put it in, and then once it's in and working, then they will turn it over to us, but without that sensor, they will not turn it over to us. And rightfully so, because if that water gets too low in there, it will burn those pumps up. So should get that turned back over to us next week, I'm assuming. We've come up out there, but we've still got plenty of room out there. So I think we're gonna be alright on water this year unless we have a real wet spring. We should have plenty of places to go with it.
Any other questions? Any as may arise? How about a motion to adjourn?
Motion to move out of general government. I guess, Public Works.
Second, whatever he said, second. I think he
Motion and a
adjourned.
second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.